72% of divorcing couples claim that they didn't know the level of commitment that was going to be required before they said I do. We all know the divorce rate in America is crazy high. We kind of say that it's half of all marriages end in divorce, but it's actually worse than that. Half of all first marriages end in divorce. 67% of all second marriages end in divorce, and 73% of third marriages end in divorce. But it doesn't have to be that way for your marriage. If you're somebody who's looking to better your relationship and have a stronger partnership, this is the channel for you. We break out of the monotony on this channel. I am the mom and wife of a nomad family where we have changed our finances, changed our living situation, changed our relationships, changed my parenting, changed everything about life to not fit the mold, but to fit our version of happiness. You've probably heard that the number one reason for divorce is money. It actually trickles out to lots of things where money is the problem. Yes, there's a lack of money, and that leads to overall stress, arguing, no time, lack of communication. Oftentimes it leads to the number two reason for divorce, which is infidelity. But it all stems back to money. The self-perpetuating cycle with lack of money in a relationship is that the lack of communication, the lack of the shared dream, the lack of going in the same direction prevents you from increasing the money, which would decrease the stress, increase the communication. It would help all those relationship aspects that are deteriorating, but you aren't on the same page, and it's hard to get there because you don't have the money to give yourself the more time. In this video, we're going to talk about how even when you don't have the money to begin with, you can date your spouse, get back on the same page, and change the trajectory of your relationship, which will change the trajectory of your entire life. There's a common saying that money doesn't buy happiness, but money certainly buys free time and less stress. We know that during the pandemic, divorce rates plummeted by 27%. Much of the reason for that is that couples had more free time together because they weren't actually physically at a job, they were doing more remote work. There was a variety of reasons why all of a sudden they were stuck in a home together where they had this free time that could turn into quality time together. It's so important to have that quality time that it actually changed our divorce rates for an entire country by such a huge margin. My husband and I used to be that typical two working parent couple where we would fight about things that are so typical. You didn't do the dishes, you didn't clean up the laundry, these nitpicky things that become a fight in your relationship that really are not about the dishes or the laundry. They're about making your life less stressful. But it's hard to understand how your life could look different because if there's no money, you can't hire outside help. You can't have somebody solve that problem for you. It becomes a mathematical equation when you start to look at how much does it cost to get a maid versus how much does it cost to ruin my entire marriage. When you look at an average divorce in America, it costs $7,000, not to mention the years of financial setback that you'll have because you're going to change your financial future by not sharing expenses in terms of your home and your car and your insurance and things with the kids. All of those things change the trajectory of your entire life versus the nitpickiness of who's going to do the laundry, who's going to do the dishes can become a totally different conversation if there was more money and you're on the same page about how to get that money. When it comes to communication in a relationship, the problem becomes that everyone gets in this routine where all you talk about is logistics. What's for dinner? Who's picking up the kids? What time do you have to be there? All these just logistical, boring, monotonous things about daily life. Everyone loves to throw around the word busy. Everyone loves to be busy. And that becomes your life. All those busy days in the end become your life. Instead, the first thing you have to do in communication with your partner is change the conversation from the here and now to the future. One of the easiest ways to do that is to play the if you won the lottery game. My partner and I, before we had more of the life that we were hoping for, we used to play this game where we said, If we won all this money, how would our life look? You have to create the intention by just dreaming and thinking about what your life would be like in the future if there was unlimited finances, unlimited time, unlimited choices to have the life that you want. You can never get to that life if you don't think about it before you get there. It's like stumbling around if you don't actually have an intention to get to that life. That's your first communication tip, is to turn that conversation from the here and now to the future in order to create a better relationship with your partner. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to shift how you communicate your love to your partner. The reason for miscommunication is not intention. It's just simply lack of proper communication. That is evidenced by the fact that 6% of divorced couples end up remarrying at some point. And the divorce rate of those people who actually end up divorcing a second time from each other is only 28%. So 72% of people who get married a second time back to each other end up surviving the marriage. That's huge. And so much of that to me says that they just were missing the mark. Something wasn't working, and instead of fixing it, they gave up. And reading this book, The 5 Languages of Love, is going to help you understand how to match the communication and understanding of your partner. This book really changed my marriage. I discovered that my husband loves to receive love by acts of service. My husband would always be doing things like making the bed or setting out something that I needed, preparing things, like physically doing an act of service. And to me, that's like just part of daily life. And it didn't really communicate to me love, because that's not my love language. But he behaves in the way that he wants to receive love. So now I know that because of this book. That could be the problem in your relationship, is you're giving love in a way that your partner doesn't understand it, and vice versa. My partner was showing his love that way. I wasn't receiving it. I need to receive love in words of affirmation. I want him to tell me, gosh, you're such a good mom. I want him to tell me, wow, you did so great today. It was so cool seeing you do that presentation. You're so confident. I want those kinds of words telling me that I did the right thing. And that shows me love. So those kinds of communication, sort of just missing each other, is a huge factor in your partner believing that they are loved. And that is not a personality trait. That's just a change to how you communicate, which is totally possible. I highly, highly recommend picking up that 5 Languages of Love book in order for you to better understand the different types of communication in how you receive love and how you give love. It will be a game changer in your relationship. As I said, the number 2 reason for divorce is actually infidelity. But so much of that infidelity starts with the broken down aspects of the marriage before an actual cheating situation, that we need to talk about intimacy and why those walls go up, right? Intimacy is free. You can absolutely provide intimacy without money, but you don't, because you feel shitty and you feel closed off and you feel like your partner doesn't get you. And all those walls come up because of the other aspects, because of the money, because of the lack of communication, because of the stress, because of all the things and barriers you put up, because life is hard. I have alarm bells going off when husbands and wives tell me they can't make time for intimacy because their kid is always in their bed, or because they have zero time. I know that you have a smartphone. You spend time on social media, you watch things on streaming services. That is valuable time that you could be making for intimacy in your relationship. A lock on your door costs less than $20 at Home Depot. You can absolutely solve that problem. Those are problems you're choosing not to solve because of other factors. It's not because you can't, it's because you won't. And that's what you need to solve in your relationship in order for things to move forward. Creating this space for an actual date night can have a lot of obstacles. I absolutely understand that. My partner and I have been living outside of America for nearly 3 years now, and we have 2 children. Each place that we go, we have to establish a community so that there's places for our children to go that are not our family, because our family is not here. When you create those relationships, you can do things like kid swaps, where one night they have all the kids, your kids and their kids, and then the next night you switch and you have their kids and your kids, so that they can have a date night and you can have a date night. That kind of swapping allows it to be free. Now, I'm not suggesting just leaving your kids with random strangers. Definitely establish a relationship with these other parents first. Even if a full-fledged date night isn't in the cards because of your living situation, you could certainly create space for alone time with your partner, such as a walk after dinner, creating space while you cook dinner where it's you and your partner in your kitchen and your kids are in some other room playing or watching a show. Create spaces where you and your partner can connect. And again, keep your conversation focused on the future and not the logistical monotony of daily life. That will establish those connections back with your partner where you are excited to be in a conversation instead of just, what a drag about the time management of a daily life. If your relationship has been hard lately and you know it's because life is not that fun right now, definitely subscribe to this channel. This is a channel where me, my husband, and my two kids talk about how to break free of the box and just live differently. We've changed everything about our life, first living in the Dominican Republic, then Japan with intermixed long-term stays in Egypt and Thailand. We travel and work from our laptops. Life doesn't have to be what it is right now. It can be everything that you want. And this channel will explain how we do this. Thanks for stopping by. Hit the like button on the way out and let me know how you're planning a date night this week.